Okay, let's unpack this. Today we're taking a deep dive into the Nanjing Massacre, a truly horrific event from the 1937 Sino-Japanese War. We're going through the sources you shared, articles, research, notes, to really understand, the historical truth, the aftermath, and its lasting impact on East Asian relations. And what really jumped out, I think, is this wasn't just random violence. Your sources point to some pretty chilling orders from high command.
Yeah, that's right. And what's particularly, striking is how consistently the sources document this. It's seen as one of the absolute worst war crimes in history, just because of the sheer scale, the brutality involved.
And the details in your notes, they really paint a picture of that devastation. We're talking about 6 weeks, starting around December 13th, 1937. The Imperial Japanese Army just unleashed mass killings.
Yeah.
You flagged the Mufushan Massacre.
A particularly awful example. Maybe 17,000, perhaps 20,000 Chinese prisoners just machine gunned while trying to surrender, no less.
Terrible. And then there's the widespread rape estimates range from 20,000 to, over 80,000 women and children?
Yes. Those are the horrifying figures cited. Plus extensive looting, arson, a third of Nanjing destroyed, just wiped out.
And it's that scale, that unimaginable number of victims that leads to one of the big debates, right?
Exactly. Our sources really highlight this contention over the numbers. Chinese estimates often cite 300,000 or more. The main post-war tribunal, the IMTFE.
That's the International Military Tribunal for the Far East.
Correct. They confirmed a minimum of 200,000 plus. But Japanese views vary widely, and what's really insightful here is why this debate is so strategic. It's often used, unfortunately, to try and minimize responsibility. You see claims based on, frankly, false population figures for the city proper.
Right, ignoring the surrounding areas.
Exactly, ignoring the suburbs, the refugees, even victims whose bodies were dumped in rivers. It's a deliberate muddying of the waters, you could say.
In digging into the sources, the organization behind it all is just chilling. What did the notes show about specific orders from the top?
Well, that's a critical point, and it's compelling how direct those orders apparently were. We see high-ranking officers mentioned, like Prince Yasuko Asaka, LT Col Isamu Cho, and the command attributed to them is blunt: kill all captives.
Wow. Just explicit.
Explicit, and the evidence for all this is, abundant. You got missionary diaries. John G. McGee's is often cited. Countless photos.
And some taken by Japanese soldiers themselves.
Yes, surprisingly, some were. And of course, powerful testimonies from survivors. It's undeniable, really.
The sources also mentioned people like John Ray, Minnie Vautrin, Richard Brady.
Yeah.
These international figures, what role did they play?
Absolutely pivotal. They set up an international safety zone, saved potentially over 200,000 lives. And crucially, their detailed records, their diaries, became vital evidence later on. If you think about the bigger picture, that kind of documentation is just indispensable for any kind of future justice.
And speaking of justice, those post-WWII trials, like the IMTFE you mentioned, they did confirm the massacre happened, convicted some perpetrators.
They did. The trials established the historical fact and brought some individuals to justice. But, and this is a big but, highlighted in the research, there's significant controversy.
Around Prince Asaka.
Precisely. Prince Asaka received imperial immunity, despite evidence pointing to his direct involvement in those orders. And this incomplete justice, well, it's not just some historical footnote. It really shows how these open wounds can just fester, And it feeds into why full reconciliation is still so difficult.
So, turning to Japan's stance today, officially they acknowledge undeniable killings of non-combatants, looting.
Yeah.
But they're still quite ambiguous on the numbers, on direct responsibility.
That's generally the official line, yes. Acknowledgement of wrongdoing, but qualified. But then you have other interpretations within Japan.
Like the illusion theory.
Yes, propagated by some far-right elements. They claim the whole thing is fabricated, or at least hugely exaggerated. And this ties directly into those ongoing textbook controversies you hear about, where details get minimized, sometimes omitted entirely. Our sources suggest it's often framed as protecting national pride rather than, say, fully confronting the historical record.
It's clearly still a deeply contested history. 2015, UNESCO lists Nanjing Massacre documents as World Heritage.
And Japan protested strongly, even took action regarding UNESCO funding.
Right. So what about China's perspective on remembering this?
Well, for China, the commemoration on December 13th each year is consistent and very significant. It's framed as absolutely crucial for national identity. A political message, too, of course, often articulated as never forget national humiliation.
And it even surfaces in popular culture, right? There's that recent Chinese film, Nanjing Photo Studio.
Yeah, set for a 2025 global release, apparently. It just shows how this isn't just dusty history. It's a current, actively re-examined issue.
So what does all this mean for you listening? I mean, the Nanjing Massacre was clearly a horrific violation, international law, basic human values. Remembering isn't about fostering hate. It's about understanding, hopefully fostering peace.
Absolutely. And understanding this really complex history is crucial because it directly shapes today's geopolitics in East Asia. It shapes national identities.
And true reconciliation, it seems, really hinges on that honest historical acknowledgement. So this deep dive hopefully leaves you with a powerful thought. Think about this. How much does a nation's willingness to honestly face its past, even the really painful parts, how much does that matter? Is that maybe the most crucial step, not just for healing old wounds, but for building real trust and maybe a truly peaceful future with its neighbors? What does that mean for how we all approach history collectively?